We have built highways, we have built flyovers, we have built shipyards and airfields and aeroplanes, etc. But we have retarded socially, politically, and on economic counts at the per capita level, individual level, Vyaktigat level, if you like to speak in Hindi, then I think we have not advanced one bit. It touches his forehead to the entrance at the gate of the parliament. But you can count on your fingertips how many times in 11 years the Prime Minister has attended parliament, seriously replied to questions, taken part in all party meetings and given guidance to all party meetings. In the face of the most severe calamities in India, the leader of the country absents himself from discussions raised by the opposition. You cannot discuss anything in parliament today. You'll be shouted down. We are in a depressing state. We are collectively as a society, we have earned great disappointment by our own actions. We are today pretty much friendless in the world. So today, for all practical purposes, the Election Commission has been disbanded as we knew it. Election Commission as we knew it has been disbanded. Now we have a bunch of civil servants who arrogate to themselves the title of the Election Commission.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. 11 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government will be written in golden letters for the positive changes it has effected. That is what BJP President JP Nadda today asserted while he slammed Rahul Gandhi as an irresponsible opposition leader and accusing him of raising baseless questions. That was the quintessence of the press conference which was held today by JP Nadda. And he said a lot of other things. Now, what he has said is that Modi made the government accountable and responsive while confronting challenges head on, putting an end to scams, divisive politics, appeasement, and overall negativism. This is what Nadda said, and these were the highlights of the 11 years of rule. Then when he spoke about Rahul Gandhi, he said that may God give him good sense. And of course, he said that when he was asked about the Congress leaders' criticism of the government's foreign policy and questions about the likely losses of fighter aircraft India might have suffered in military conflict with Pakistan during the Operation Sindoor, he very categorically said that may God give him good sense. So this was a kind of response. But the question we are asking today is that where has the country reached in these 11 years of Modi tenure? Do we see Modi as a stronger leader or as a weaker leader? Can India really feel proud of the Modi regime or of the 11 years of Modi rule? Joining me this evening is a veteran journalist, an author, columnist, Anand Sahay. Anand, thank you so much for joining on HW. And my first question to you is, how you've seen decades of journalism, and if I were to ask you to critically appraise the 11 years of Modi rule, what would you really begin with? Because I'm not able to figure out as to where we will begin with, how we will start. And if you can do that, as to how and where do we begin, the critical appraisal of Prime Minister Modi?
Thanks, Steve. First of all, I think at no time in the last, let us say, 1500 years, not 11 years, has India been so badly socially divided. And this, in the age of democracy, which let's say, roughly, let us say, let's make it equivalent with the time of independence of India, 1947, which is about 75 years ago. Since then, this particular we always had social division within on caste lines. There was great caste oppression within society, particularly within Hindu society, but also within Muslim society, you know, who followed similar caste patterns. But since 47, when the process of elections became the main way to gain power, retain power, lose power, etc., and then have the opportunity to fashion and shape the country according to your ideas, according to your thinking. Since then, the division, social division within India, is heartbreaking. It will in the end prove deleterious for the country in the long term. We may see only partial effects of it in the short run, but in the long run, it's going to take a very heavy toll on the society, on the psychologically, not only psychologically, but also in material terms. It will affect our economy, and it will affect our material and moral advance. That's one.
Right.
Having said this, it is almost a corollary to suggest that this social divisiveness, which has entered the frame in a very, very big fashion in the past 11 years, will have inevitable consequences for political unity of the country. If you're divided as a society, you can hardly remain united as a political entity on the global stage. We live in a very dangerous neighborhood. We have several nuclear armed, very capable countries. And India's voice was heard with respect since it became independent. Although we were a poor nation, we are a much richer nation today if you look at the GDP data compared to the year 47. But in terms of per capita GDP, what each Indian has got out of the growth of the economy would closely mirror the state of economic affairs in the country for each Indian, rural or urban, that obtained around the time of independence. We have built highways, we have built flyovers, we have built shipyards and airfields and aeroplanes, etc. But we have retarded socially, politically, and on economic counts at the per capita level, individual level, Vyaktigat level, if you would like to speak in Hindi, then I think we have not advanced one bit. The inequalities are very serious. Very, very serious. India is perhaps today arguably the most unequal large economy in the world. And if you include all the economies, even then we'd be right at the bottom, say the last 10%. That's one aspect. Let me bring up next the capability of India in the modern age to advance along lines of rationality, reason, science, when we think of developing knowledge. Today, a society cannot move forward unless it sees itself as a knowledge economy. every kind of assault on our educational system that we read about on a near daily basis, either in the realm of policy, in the realm of implementation, in the realm of appointments of, senior faculty and administrators of universities, at the level of making the syllabi, and at the level of the state trying to capture, the word is capture, all key nodal positions in the knowledge system, in the education system, in order to further its ideological and political agenda, and nothing more than that. There were sounds of protest, not mere murmurs, last week when the Indian Medical Association, they criticized the government when they said people who are pursuing the MBBS will today have to witness the merging of the Ayurveda course and the modern medicine course, so that they will obtain a common degree. And what kind of doctors you will have? This is one example. The medical field, in which some of the most stunning advances have taken place in the last 20 years. Biomedicine, medicine and chemistry, these fields will be pushed right back, And we have the fastest rising economic and military power, which is our immediate neighbor to the north. If you are pushed behind as a knowledge society, as a deeply divided society, as a society which has embraced hunger, by virtue of the way policies have been implemented in India in the last 10, 11 years. It is not that we were the golden bird before that, but we were doing our best in the years preceding to advance with certain clear goals. That idea has now been disregarded totally. And the effect of all this is not readily seen by the people on account of the high velocity propaganda which is made by the national media, much of which has also been captured by the regime using a variety of techniques. India's word is not anymore taken for granted by the world community. Your credibility has nosedived, because any observer, Indian or foreign, who sees the state of affairs on your television and a large number of your newspapers would know that every word you read is untrue. It is questionable. Opinions are slanted heavily in favor of the government. Facts are twisted by the government. Data collection systems have been altered entirely so that the government may be enabled to blow its own trumpet. This is the only democracy in the world that I have heard of where opposition parties are under attack. They are asked questions by the media every day at the behest of the government. If two political parties, the ruling party and its political opponents, they conflict with each other, that's normal. But this, what we see today, is not normal. And I would like to say to you, when the current Prime Minister took oath for Prime Minister, he arrived in New Delhi from Gujarat, his native Gujarat, in a private plane owned by the most important industrialist in the country, the biggest business conglomerate, which is a government favorite, and on whose account the government has been dragged into controversy time and again. It was unheard of that a PM should go and take oath in a private plane belonging to a top industrialist. That gave a certain message. The PM, he touches his forehead to the entrance at the gate of the parliament. But you can count on your fingertips how many times in 11 years the Prime Minister has attended parliament, seriously replied to questions, taken part in all party meetings and given guidance to all party meetings. In the face of the most severe calamities in India, the leader of the country absents himself from discussions raised by the opposition. You cannot discuss anything in parliament today. You'll be shouted down. Economy, China, Pakistan. We've just faced a 4-day military conflict with Pakistan. In 2020, we had a military conflict, short-lived, but it was there, and whose effects are still showing with China. Not a word. In fact, PM's statement, that was once that he came to a meeting with opposition party and where he said, nothing has happened. Nobody has transgressed the Indian boundary. But subsequently, his foreign minister and other senior officials have been begging China for dialogue and how to take it forward, etc., etc. So I think we are in a most unenviable state. We are in a depressing state. We are collectively as a society, we have earned great disappointment by our own actions. We are today pretty much friendless in the world. The forays of some 35, 40, 50, I don't know how many MPs and 7 teams that were dispatched to various corners of the world to garner some support for our policy regarding terrorism in Pakistan, etc., after May 10th, have practically they're coming back empty-handed. Not one of them has been able to meet anyone of standing in the countries that they visited. In the most important countries, one of the members of one team, which was in Europe, who was once a distinguished editor, newspaper editor, he had to practically beg them. He said, why do you sit on the fence when it comes to terrorism? Because no one was coming to India's side. No one was hearing our arguments. After the terrible, terrible, ghastly tragedy in Pahalgam, in Baisar on 22nd April, when we approached the United Nations to have Pakistan called out, people shed tears against terrorism, not once against Pakistan. And the same Pakistan is now chairman of the UN Security Council Sanctions Committee on the Taliban and vice chairman of the UN Security Council Committee on Terrorism. It was in a very bad economic state. It's got all the bailout it required from the IMF, from the World Bank, from the Asian Development Bank. India pleaded with the world that you please look closely at the record and see if Pakistan is a fit case for action to be taken by the Financial Action Task Force, which is the watchdog for terrorism.
No, you've,
Okay.
in fact,
The
Anand,
answer was
you've
no.
explained this very well. And on all fronts, it seems that these 11 years have been a big disaster. Now, my 2 quick questions, and very briefly, if you could answer them. First thing is that 11 years has stalled India or transformed India, according to you? And then I will ask you the next question, which is related to the persona of Prime Minister Modi. Yes.
Because we have been transformed in the negative direction.
Mm,
Therefore, we are stalled.
true.
Uh, Is there any new knowledge being produced of any significant character in any field? In history, geography, economics, literature, mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology? Today, you're on the brink of international isolation, when the only positive propaganda that this government was able to claim on account of its very sharp propaganda machine was that the PM has brilliant friends. On the international stage, he is shining. Today, we cannot tell the Americans, you keep off, don't butt into our India-Pakistan affairs, as another prime minister had done in 71, Indira Gandhi. She made Nixon wait 45 minutes in Washington, D.C. because he had dared to do that to her. We were a much poorer country then, but we were a completely self-assured nation. Today, we are not a self-assured nation. We are wanting in self-confidence.
But
Yes,
Anand, when it comes to the persona of Prime Minister Modi, does he look like a weaker prime minister? Does he look like a weaker politician? Or you think that, through his political craftsmanship, the way he's managed the coalition in the last 1 year, and also in the last 10 years of what he has managed, this 1 year of rule in the coalition government and 10 years of majority rule when he had in 2014 and 2019, would you see Prime Minister Modi as much stronger or weaker now in 2025?
I'll tell you what. In the first 10 years, he had his own majority, single party majority, though it was called an NDA government led by BJP. And today, what happened in last year's parliament election? In spite of the fact that there's been total institutional decay in every field, the election commission does not seem to be a neutral umpire anymore. They're appointees of the government, like any other senior civil servant. So, if popular goodwill is withdrawn from the government, the election results show otherwise. That's amply clear. When the election commission is not, you know, free, fair election and free and fair election supervision, it's a fundamental requirement of the democratic order. So today, for all practical purposes, the election commission has been disbanded as we knew it. Election commission as we knew it has been disbanded. Now we have a bunch of civil servants who arrogate to themselves the title of the election commission. They are hoodwinking Indian voters. We don't know what votes are being cast, in whose name, and who the winner will be. In spite of this, the government lost its majority in 2024. So what does that make the prime minister? What does it make the prime minister when in the world no one's looking at you? You're sending high-powered delegations led by some highly eloquent individuals. It doesn't matter what party they're from. They're cutting no ice. It's so very odd. BJP MPs who are there, they are speaking in the voice of the Congress on the international stage, trying to pretend that India is a lovely, woven fabric. I mean, in their propaganda. And members of other parties, so as not to make India look completely silly on the world stage, they are holding up the pretense of we as a mature nation have considered all facts and we are reasonable in our expectations. We'd like the world to hear us. And the world is saying, sorry, you're not trustworthy anymore.
True. So, in a nutshell, I'm just at the end of this interview. So, in a nutshell, what would you really say if I may ask you in one or two lines about Prime Minister Modi at the end of 11 years?
At the end of 11 years, I would just tell the Prime Minister that please try and be more reasonable, try and do not engage in political tricks which are below the line of decency, which are truly in concord with parliamentary practice. And for goodness sake, do not throw the poor man or the poor woman to the wolves. Because every single step, every single economic measure, financial measure is taken with an eye to fattening big business in India. Not the middle business, not the small business, and just completely forget about the farmers and forget about the farm laborers and the underclass in cities. This is not their government. They vote for it or they are forced to vote for it on the basis of pure propaganda. And that is what has completely, driven our society asunder.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Anand, thank you so much. It was a brilliant analysis of you of 11 years of Modi government. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.